Yeah, I think last year, obviously, when they immediately came back, they got beat 5-1 off Tottenham. But I think that was just possibly the rigours of the season. But then I think afterwards we've seen the benefit once they'd got that defeat out of the system. They won 6 games from 9, and I think that would be a good return again. Obviously, they've got 10 fixtures this time. 6 wins this time would probably get them definitely into a Europa League place. But obviously they're pushing for the Champions League. If they can do even better, then they're going to have a real chance. But I do think it's going to be about the team above them at the moment, Tottenham, what happens there, and obviously Liverpool below them. It's going to be a really interesting finish to the season. Yeah, it was absolutely huge, and I mean I was stood pretty much right behind the dugout, and I seen Eddie Howe as probably the most animated I've seen. I don't think the cameras fully caught it, but he was leaping around in the technical area, and I don't think I've seen that sort of animated look of Eddie Howe. Normally he's quite cool and calm and collected, but I think he knew just how much that win meant, because it firmly put the pressure on Spurs, and they've still got those 2 games in hand. So hopefully if they can win them, then I think they are in the box seat for the top 4. But you cannot underestimate how big that win was, last minute as well. Just shows you how much this team keeps going to score in the last minute of the first half, and then the last kick of the game at the City ground when Forest thought they got at least a point from the game. Shows you the determination and fighting spirit of the team. Yeah, I mean, we've seen nothing like that at Newcastle really. I think everybody, including the Sky Sports production team, thought it was going to be Kieran Trippier taking it because they put up a graphic of his previous penalty kicks. So a great piece of genius. Really got the goalkeeper thinking, and then it was just an easy task for Isak to step up and slam it in the corner. The goalkeeper didn't even move because he was still processing what had happened to him. So I think it was a great moment for Newcastle. Could it be a key moment in the run to the Champions League? Quite possibly. I think there's going to be a lot more mind games like that to come from Trippier and co. But what I'm seeing now is a Newcastle team that just seems smart and switched on. In previous years gone by, they've crumbled at the last. They missed out on either getting in the Champions League or back in the 90s. Couldn't get over the line to win the league. They needed that know-how. They've certainly got it with someone like Kieran Trippier. Yeah, I think for me, getting them fit has been a key move in the season. Obviously, he came back at Sheffield Wednesday. Seems a long time ago now. He wasn't quite right, but now he's pretty much firing on all cylinders. Getting that 90 minutes under his belt is great. Obviously, we're all a bit worried about him being on international duty, as you would be naturally with most international players. But I think at the back of people's mind, they know what happened in autumn when he picked up the injury that cost him so dearly. So hopefully he gets back in good shape, and then he's ready to go again against Manchester United. I think if he's fit and ready, then I think that could be a key fixture for him. I think it is. Pochettino possibly coming in would be a possible game changer. I think that would make life difficult. But even if Pochettino does come back, I still think Spurs have to win 9 games out of 10 to finish above Newcastle. So I think the pressure is on Tottenham. That's what resulted in the meltdown. For me, Conte, did he lose the plot? I'm not sure on that. I think he's the type of manager that when it's needed, he will say some radical things, and that's exactly what he did. This could be his last attempt at finally getting a tune from his team. But for me, Spurs are still a good side. We can't underestimate them. Yes, they've had a bit of a wobbly patch, but they've still got Harry Kane in there. They've still got Son. They've got some star quality players in there, and they are probably capable of winning 9 games out of 10. But it's still a big ask. They've still got to come here to St James's Park. I think that's a key game, and if Newcastle can win that one, win the 2 games in hand, then I think it is advantage Newcastle. But whether the narrative of the season for Newcastle should be merely about the top 4, that's another matter. Yeah, I did an interview with Kieran Trippier a couple of weeks ago, and he said he wants to play as long as possible, possibly up to the age of 40, and he wasn't kidding either. And if he keeps himself right, then I think he's certainly a player that can get to that late 30s, possibly 40s stage. You know, I asked him what his sort of motivation was, and he just said, look, this is what I'm born to do. And I think it's the same with his country, whether Gareth Southgate, this Gareth Southgate's probably his last tournament, and I think Trippier wants to be on that journey with him. He's been such a big part of it. What his international future will be after that, you know, we'd have to wait and see. But for me, Trippier, he's been a key player. He's a quiet candidate for Player of the Season at Newcastle. When they've done things well, it's usually come from him. It's little things like you mentioned before, the mind games with the penalty. You could probably pinpoint 10 genius Kieran Trippier moments of the season. I probably wrote another piece there, it's half written now, but look, he's been a class act, and I think Newcastle's season will depend on him doing well in the last 12 games. I spoke to Eddie Howe last Friday about this, and pretty much he said it is difficult because they do not know which competition, if any, they're going to be in. And if it's going to be Champions League, then the calibre of star will move up quite a few notches. You will need top quality, top 5-star quality to do well in the Champions League. We've seen what happened to teams like Glasgow Rangers that didn't quite have the resource to go into that competition, and they ended up suffering a few heavy defeats. So you have to be ready for that one. If it's a Europa League, I would say it's more about squad depth, because you're pretty much playing a different 11 on a Thursday compared to what you're going to play on the Sunday. It really complicates the season. And again, the Europa Conference League will be about squad depth, possibly signing some younger players, because I think you look at West Ham, they've played umpteen games already this season, and they're only in the last 16. They've just got through the last 16, and they've got another few rounds to go. So it's a hard slog. Each competition requires different sort of personnel, and the scouts will be out there, as you say, trying to finalise probably 2 or 3 lists. And I think for Eddie Howe, it's probably something he likes to be organised with, but unfortunately so much is going to be decided in the next month and a half on the Premier League stage.